Good evening, my YouTube viewers. Crystal here. I'm here this evening because I want to give you a code review. And basically, this is a code review on the Kaggle Ames house prices competition. Now, I previously had entered the competition and I had used the lasso command, and I got my root mean squared error down to about 14%, which was pretty good. And I had used the lasso command and I had adjusted my alpha to a little over 100 to get the root mean squared error down that low. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to study the XGBoost or XGRegressor specifically. I had been working on XGBoost with the Titanic competition and with loan predictions, and I wanted to use XGBoost, XGRegression with Ames house prices because I wanted to study XGRegression. So I went onto the internet and I studied a lot. I studied a lot of code. But what happens when people put their code on the internet and when they make videos, what they do is they only give you half of the code. And there's this one man called Jason Brownlee who has this blog, and I like his blog a lot. But they don't give you all the code. What they do is they give you the code all the way up until you make the predictions on the training file, and you take the training file and you split it into pieces. So we'll say like 80% of the training file they'll train on it, and then 20% they'll test on it. And then so since they've got the answers, so they'll be able to gauge their accuracy on the test file because they're using part of the training file anyway. But what happens when you enter Kaggle competitions is they give you two files. They give you one file that is the training file, and they give you a second file that is a testing file. So what you do is you do your test train split. So like let's say you train on 80% of the training file and you test on 20% of the testing file to develop your model. And then after you've developed your model, then you take the testing file and you use the prediction model to predict the prices or predict the data of the testing file. And that's the way that they do it with Kaggle, and that's also the way that they do it with Analytics Beta. But when you're looking at a magazine article or an article on the internet or a YouTube video, they get up to the point where they've trained and tested on the training file, but then they stop. They don't tell you how to take this model and use it on new data, which is where I got stuck. And I spent a good 2 days, and quite often I consider it to be a waste of time. So I spent a good 2 days studying it, coming up with models that I had gotten off the internet. And I like to just use easy models because I'm starting out and I'm new. So I'd take these files where they had gotten up to the point to where they had tested and trained on the training file, but then they stopped. And I tried my very best to take the testing data and then use that testing data for them to put the model into the testing file so they can make predictions on that. But with XGBoost, I could not do that because XGBoost is a different type of module. It's not even a part of the sklearn module. And as a result of that, you have to prepare the data files and put them in a certain format before you can even put them in XGBoost and XGRegression. So try as I might, I couldn't do it. And I tried really hard. So what I did was I managed to find a file where he had actually tested on a testing file with XGBoost, which is what I wanted to do. And I copied the file into Google Colab, and it worked. And then when I copied the file into Google Colab, I copied it into Kaggle, and I ran it, and it worked. And I submitted it, and I got about a 13%, which was an improvement over the lasso command. Because using the lasso command with an alpha of a little bit more than 100, I was able to get 14% in something. But using the XGRegressor command, I was able to get 13% in something. So you're going to get a better root mean squared error with XGRegressor than you're going to get with the lasso command. Or that's what I found anyway. And so what we're doing now is we're doing a code review. And as you can see on the screen in front of you, I've got the website, the web address of the code that I'm reviewing, because I don't want anybody to think that this is my own work. It's not my own work. I tried my very best to get you my own work, but I just could not get the last part of it, not with XGBoost, because I couldn't figure it out. And on most of the articles on the internet, they take you all the way up to the last part, and then they stop. And I tried everything. I was looking through all these websites trying to find out how to do it, trying to insert codes and everything, and nothing I did would work. So here we are with a code review, and I'll just say it's not my own work. So if you want to see where I got this information, you can look on this website. That tells you where I got the information. I will say that it is an old program, because it had originally been Simple Imputer. No, it had originally been Imputer, but now it's Simple Imputer. And the program won't work if you use Imputer. So I loaded my data sets, loaded my training file. So look at your training shape, and then look at the info on the training file. There's 81 columns of information. Describe the training file for those columns of information that are numeric. They can give you that information. And then I loaded my testing file, and that's 80 columns of information, because it does not include the sales price. And then I wanted information on the testing file. So that is my work. I described it. Okay, so now this is what he's done, is he's checking for is null, and I've checked for is null in the past, and basically he just wants to see which columns have null characters, and he did this on the training data and the testing data. So this tells you all the characters, all of the columns that have null values, because you cannot have any null values when you are using, well, most of these modules really, but definitely not with XGBoost. And then so what he's done is he's defined some parameters with the training set and the data set. He's also starting to use imputed commands. So basically what he's doing is all of these columns that have zero, are NA, not applicable, not a number, he's filling them with 0. But it has to be a numeric, because the problem that I had yesterday all day long was you cannot put a 0 into a column that has strings in it. If you do, there's going to be all kinds of problems. So the only columns that you can put a 0 into are columns that are numeric. If it's a string value, then you have to put the mode command. But the thing is that XGBoost will not accept a string value. It will only accept a numeric value. And I found all this out yesterday and today when I was trying to get my programs to work. Okay, and then he's going to use the impute command. Imputer means simple imputer. And in the impute command is a way to fill these values up. And that's what that command is. So, and now what he's doing is these columns that are strings, rather than filling them with a 0, he's just putting not applicable, because you cannot put a number into a column that's got strings. If you do, you're just asking for trouble, and I know that because I did it. Okay, so what he's doing, he's going to convert the data again. And then now what he's going to do is he set up box plots so you can see where everything fits into the everything fits into the data frame using box plots. He set up the Y variable. And then so now he's doing some more distribution plots. So you can see the plots that he's done. And now what he's done is he's doing something called one-hot encoding. And that is where you create categories. So features is a dictionary, I believe. And that's what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I spent a lot of time, all of these columns that had text files were text files. I set up the dictionary to replace the text with numbers, and I did all that. And then when I finished doing all that, and I tried to get the program to work, it crashed. So then I had to go back and delete all of the columns that were strings. So that's how I know what he's doing. What he's doing is he's setting up dictionaries. He's got a dictionary. Well, it's not a dictionary, but he's setting up something called features. And an array called features and an array called cat features. And he's done the test train split, which we've already talked about, where you take the training set and you split it into 2 and you test on that. And he set up TextX, which is your test data. And now we come here where he's doing your one-hot encoding. And what he's doing here is he's setting up categorical values. So I've never done one-hot encoding, but that's something that I definitely will have to study. I'll have to study imputing, and I'll have to study one-hot encoding, because that's not what I did when I made my computer program. I did replace the values with 0 and replace the values with the mean. And I created a dictionary, and then I assigned each string a number, and then a number was put in the columns. And I succeeded in crashing the system by doing that. But hey ho, that's how you learn. And so here he's doing all his one-hot encoding. So now he set up his XGRegression. So he's using this XGRegression. He set up his model, and he's fitting his model. And now he's making his predictions. So, and he's carrying on with his cross-validation. And so now he says his final prediction, he said he's setting up the sales price. So he set up the sales price on one hot test predictors, and the final predictions are on based upon this model. So that's something I'm going to have to sit down and really study to figure out how to do it, because I've never done imputations before, and I've never done one hot encoding before. And then what he does is he takes that data and he puts it into a data frame, and he calls it submission. And so what I did was I put this back into Kaggle and I submitted it, and I got a 13%, which is good. It's better than when I did the lasso command. And XGBoost is supposed to be a really good program to use, which is why I wanted to use it, which is why I wanted to use XGBoost, because it's supposed to be better than the other modules. So that concludes my presentation on this code review for XGRegression. If you like my video, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to support the work I do, I've leave my email address for my PayPal account, and you can make a donation, which will be very gratefully received to help defray my many expenses. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you watch the next one.